take it and then first one is getting solar panels, energy from solar panels, 100% of the time, that's my dream. But let me tell you, for manufacturing plants, that requires high amount of power. So which means at any given time you need that oomph, right? So those are that's not possible, at least with the existing technologies, right? You need to have acres and acres of solar panels to be able to do that, right? Because these, the machines that we saw, they suck up a lot of not just energy. Energy means, right? Power is at any given time. How much energy that you're using, right? So these are power extraction devices that really heavy, right? So because of that, right, going 100% solar currently is not part of what is feasible yet. But at the same time, right, what we are still committing ourselves is we are at 15% daytime. Can we go to 30% daytime? Right? That's what we're looking at, right? So, and that we have that ambition. Right? So yes, yes, ideally we can get to 100%, but it's not feasible yet. But we are setting ourselves for what is feasible, and we are going for that maximum of what is feasible. I think that's one. On the supply chain, Korea, do you want to take that?
So thank you. So just to add probably to the first question, we don't have a specific timeline yet, but also to add to Pio's response to that, it's also the supply, which means that reliable suppliers of solar energy panels and the whole chain in providing solar energy is still not fully here in the Philippines. So we still have limited supply, and in terms also of the quality of the solar energy systems that we have in the Philippines is still not that mature. Actually, to be honest, even before the pandemic in 2019, that was our first attempt to negotiate already for solar panels. But because of the pandemic, during that time, we only had one supplier who could supply our 6 plants coming from Singapore. So that was in 2019. Of course, the pandemic came in. So now it's just we're trying to do it again. So which means that really, I think the timeline will be affected also by the number of capable suppliers who can do our solar energy requirements. So that's one. And on the second one, it's not just really for typhoons. PCPPI is built actually to withstand natural calamities. You know that it's not typhoons, we have earthquakes, and also other natural calamities. So all our plants have a very robust business continuity plan, which includes taking care of our employees, first and foremost, to ensure that they are safe during natural calamities and other disasters that will strike us. And then of course also our supplies and our equipment are all part of the BCP. I think we have a plant which is close to Mount Canlaon, which is an active volcano right now. And then we also have Taal, which is near here. So our plants, because of their strategic locations, are really in places where natural calamities happen regularly. So that is part of our ESG strategy to ensure continuous supply despite incidents, and of course the safety of our employees. I'd like you to know that whenever there are natural calamities, Pepsi is always at the forefront of partnering with the LGUs. We supply water, we have volunteers with our employees to ensure that we help the communities where we operate in.
Factories are planned in such a way that we can compensate from other factories. We have spare capacity and spare water molds and also supplies. So in this situation, other factories can compensate for the loss of one particular factory. So this is our strength level factories. So definitely there will be an extra logistics cost, but we can manage that challenge and so that's where Karina was mentioning, we have business continuity. So if one factory is wrong, which are the other 2 or 3 factories who can compensate for it? Thank you, very good question. With the support from PepsiCo global best practices, and we are very confident when we exit this year, we will be using 20% less water versus last year. So 20% water less. This year, this is our commitment, and that's why PepsiCo and Tomas plant and other plants are working very aggressively. And as Theo mentioned, for known core areas, like it doesn't make sense for floor washing or for gardening, we do use fresh water. So for known core areas, we are not using deep well or municipal water. So we just recycle the water after certain cleaning and then make sure that known core areas we don't use that. And even in fresh water, fresh areas, we are bringing in technologies where we use less and less water and less energy, like electricity. So I'm sure this factory, despite volume going up, electricity bill must be coming down. Like for example, this bottle, you see, where is Mountain Dew bottle? Yeah, this one, Mountain Dew bottle you see, in neon. This bottle, the high-speed line, which is producing these bottles at the speed of 1,000 bottles per minute. In 1 minute, 1,000 bottles per minute. So previously, this bottle we were blowing at 32 bars. So 32 bars means like how many PSI? It's a huge pressure. So high pressure compressors are used. With the new technology, we are doing this at 19, 20 bar. 20 bars, so it's like 30-40% electricity saving. So these are a couple of examples where I'm sharing with you that PepsiCo and PCPPI are working together to save energy. So we have run successful, like in PepsiCo, we do trials with new technology in one country, and then we spread this to the other countries. So in some areas, PCPPI is leading, so we are spreading from PCPPI to other countries. In some areas, other countries are leading and we are bringing it here. So this is as a PepsiCo our job, so to bring those best practices on sustainability on water and energy. I hope this answers your question.
Which is why we have ongoing partnerships with, let's say, Laguna Lake Development Authority, and then especially here in Santa Tomas, the local government. We also have the Dr. River. So all the bodies of water within close proximity to our plants, we have partnerships with the local governments to ensure that not just the water that we use and not just the water that we put out, but generally it's a commitment to actually water stewardship. That's why independent of the sources that we have strong partnerships with our local governments to make sure, and the national government agencies as well, to make sure that we clean the water which are located around us.
Santa Tomas plant has been pioneering in many best practices in the industry. So not only in terms of efficiency, but as well as sustainability stewardship. So this plant highlights a lot of technology related water conservation, energy conservation. Sir Pio actually mentioned earlier our solar project that will be commissioned in the next 3 months. And we also have a bottle washer water recovery, where the water we use to wash the bottles will be recovered, reprocessed, and used in some of our utility operations. So that will significantly reduce our water consumption. And in terms of people capability and also operational systems, most of the plants of PCPPI, they come here, they get immersed, and lift and ship some of our best practices in terms of cadence, the daily cadence of our operations, and how we also took care of our people. We continuously train them and live all the best practices in partnership also with our PepsiCo partners. So collaborating with the PepsiCo leadership team in terms of programs and also sustainability programs. So this plan, not only because we're producing majority of the volume for PCPPI, we also become one of the best in terms of all the programs related to people, process, and efficiency.
What is the process of returnable glass bottles, right? With us receiving back. And I think the really big question is, what are we doing to make sure that that we are using our returnable glass bottles to do our part in sustainability, right? I believe that's a question. So for that one, let me make it clear that half of our volume is glass bottles, right? So this is a milestone, right? Because for us, right, it's very easy for us to just use plastic. Right? It's much easier, right? Because logistics is a lot more straightforward. But we do not want to be polluting our pristine beaches. Right? Although, I'm not Filipino, I visited your beautiful beaches, right? I'm not going to be part of the problem. So because of that, our strategy, together with our partners at the Pepsi-Cola, is we want to be using glass bottles as much as possible, because we will be able to use the same glass bottles again and again and again, right? And that makes sure that we don't have unnecessary plastic pollution. That is our strategy for using these glass bottles. But in order to make sure that our glass bottles we're able to receive it, right? We need to. It's a really complicated logistical challenge, right? Because what we need to do is, first, we need to sell, right, to sari-sari stores. We need to collect these glass bottles from sari-sari stores. Right? And we need to make, that collection is also a big effort, right? Because imagine a sari-sari store on a small island. We need to get the bottle there. There are a few hands being exchanged, and we need to make sure that bottle is not lost. If the bottle is being lost, that adds to the pollution. So we don't want to be that. So the reverse logistics, what we call it, once we sell the bottles, how do we get the empty bottles? The full bottles, how do we get the empty bottles back? That is the big effort that we're investing into. And now, you saw what happens once these bottles are inside the four walls of the plant. Safety, we don't compromise. Because when our bottles are reused and they're dirty and not hygienic, we're losing the trust of the people who need to trust us. Right? So because of that, we don't compromise on safety. So because of that, we are investing into machinery that automatically rejects the bottles that are unusable. And we are investing into bottle washing machines to make sure that bottles are washed to the best specs of what Pepsi-Cola requires of us. In addition, we're also investing into people, because it's not just about machine. If the machine misses something, we've got people who would catch to make sure that the bottles that shouldn't be going out is never out there. So by making sure that all these complicated logistics, forward logistics, as well as reverse logistics, and this food safety mechanism are all in place. And these are not inexpensive things to do, but we are investing in these processes because we believe that that is part of our mandate to contribute as least as possible towards plastic pollution. Does it answer your question?
That's how we stay committed, and I'm happy to announce in the last couple of months we have reduced significantly by around 0.3 liters of water versus the previous year. So that's like even we also have balance of the year, a lot of programs in place to reduce it further. We came from a program last week with PepsiCo to deep dive our operations and look for opportunities to further improve our not only on water but as well on energy. because this plant uses a lot of energy in terms of fuel, in terms of electricity. So there are different ways that we're able to understand together with our subject matter experts, to do better and to further improve our operations. So that has been always the commitment of Santo Tomas.